Yo, guys, what's up? And welcome to the Final Whistle podcast. This is episode number 5, and today it's only me and Musa. And we are doing a very controversial video today. This is the Premier League goalkeepers tier list. We're doing the main goalkeepers, the big name goalkeepers, and this will be a very controversial video. And I'm curious to see what Musa has to say about some of these keepers, and I'm sure our opinions may clash at some point. But Musa, introduce everyone to what keeper we're doing first a bit.
Thank you, Yaya, for the introduction. So first up, we have Dean Henderson, who's had an amazing season with Sheffield United. So what do you think, Yaya? Where does he deserve to be? World class, decent, average, meh, or shit?
Well, I think it's safe to say that England's future is in safe hands after the goalkeepers we're going to do today. We've got quite a few decent English keepers. And I think about Henderson, his first Premier League season, and he showed that he was one of the best keepers this season. And he's even being considered a worthy person of taking over De Gea's position at Man United. And he played his role in securing the top 10 position for Sheffield, and his long passes are top notch. I don't know what he eats for breakfast, but he can probably kick the ball from Old Trafford to Etihad. So I'm going to put this guy in decent, and he has potential to go to world class.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. And I was actually gonna put him on average because uh, given that we're gonna rate the whole career, not only one season, but once I checked his stats, he's been quite impressive in the last few seasons as well. Even though he hasn't been so popular in the last few seasons, he's had amazing stats in the championship. He's had 14 clean sheets this season and 21 in the season before. And he's also won the FA Cup and the Under 20 World Cup once, so he's also had success there. So yeah, it's safe to say he's a decent Premier League goalkeeper.
Yeah, 100%. I think Henderson is decent, and yeah, he's been decent in the championship as well. So who's the next keeper?
So next up we have Kasper Schmeichel from Leicester City.
The son of the legendary Peter Schmeichel, it was certain that Casper wouldn't ever reach the highs that Peter did. However, the Premier League winning keeper isn't too bad either. I mean, after all, he probably has the best mentor, the best mentor keeper he could ask for. And you could say his last couple of games of the season may not have been the best, but I think as a whole, he was all right. But I'm going to put him on the third tier of average. What about you, Musa?
So this is a difficult one for me because he's been very impressive this season and in the season when Leicester City won the title, where he was their main goalkeeper. But between these two seasons, he hasn't been really good. I think that he has been quite not that impressive if we talk about his stats in terms of clean sheets. And I think that the only highlight from the last 3 years were his two penalty saves against Croatia in the World Cup round of 16. So I think that he hasn't been really good in the last 3 seasons, but given that he's won the Premier League with Leicester City, who were the underdogs, I think he deserves to be decent, but then again, he's been very quiet in the last few years, which makes him average. So I don't know. Maybe he's average, maybe he's decent, but your call, Yaya.
I say let's put him at the very top of average for now. And at the end, we'll review the list and to see if he deserves to be on the same tier as some of the keepers on average. And we can change him later.
Okay, so next up we have Chelsea's backup goalkeeper, or some may say Chelsea's first team goalkeeper, Willy Caballero.
Not exactly the most skilled keeper I've seen, but he is decent with penalties. However, he was horrific for Argentina. And I think Chelsea are in dire need of a keeper right now. Caballero, I don't know what he's doing in the first team of Chelsea, but he's apparently doing his job because he's doing better than Kepa. But I'm going to put him on the fourth tier. I think meh.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. He's definitely been better than Kepa Arrizabalaga, but he hasn't certainly been the best goalkeeper. And next up we have his rival for the number one spot in Chelsea. That's of course Kepa Arrizabalaga. What do you think, Yaya? Where does he deserve to be?
So he came to Chelsea being known as the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, but he definitely hasn't been worth the money. I read a stat the other day saying that The Copenhagen keeper that faced United made the same amount of saves in one game as Kepa has done since the lockdown restart, and that is, and if I'm being honest, that's shocking. Uh, Kepa hasn't been good, and even Lampard is preferring Willie flipping Caballero over him. So I just low key want to put Kepa on the last tier. I want to put him in shit.
Yeah, same here. He's signed for 80 million pounds, and look what he's done. No words needed here. I think we should put him in shit. So next up we have the Arsenal reject, and to the West Ham hero, we have Lucas Fabianski. What do you think, Yaya? Where does he deserve to be?
Well, if we look at this season, I'm sure that most of the West Ham players wouldn't be happy with the season that they've had, and the case is no different with Fabianski. He struggled with an injury, but he didn't look bad when he came back. He made quite a few shocking mistakes. However, he was the West Ham player of the season last year, and his run at Swansea shouldn't be forgotten. He was the best player in the squad that unfortunately got relegated. Uh, to be honest, I do like Fabianski. He's a decent keeper. I'm gonna put him average though. I think that's where he deserves to be with the career he's had.
Yeah, if we're gonna put Caballero in meh, then I think he deserves to be in the average one. So next up we have Nick Pope, who's had a really good season with Burnley this season, and I think that he's been phenomenal given that once he was released by his club when he was a junior player. And I think that he's had a great transformation, and he's one of the candidates to be England's first team goalkeeper for the Euros. What do you think, Yaya? Where does he deserve to be in this tier list?
This lad is a star. He can make such amazing saves, especially close range shots. And he's been considered a decent keeper for a while, but he was under Heaton's shadow previously. But this season, he finally got to shine. And I'm actually sad he missed out on the Golden Glove. But I'm going to put him at decent. He definitely deserves it. He's proven it. He's going to be England's number one keeper, or either him or Henderson. So I'm going to put, if Henderson's on number two, I'm going to put him on number two as well.
Definitely, definitely. So next up we have your favorite club's backup goalkeeper, Sergio Romero. I personally think that he's an average goalkeeper, but he's a decent backup. If we're considering that he's a backup, then he's a decent goalkeeper, but overall I think he's average or maybe meh, I don't know. What do you think, Yaya?
All right, wait. Here's where things get very controversial, and I'm going to be a bit biased here, but he has an amazing record for United with 61 appearances and nearly 40 clean sheets. I mean, he's the best backup keeper in the world and should have been used against Sevilla. So I know everyone's going to be shocked, but I want to put him in decent. So I think if Musa is going to put him in meh and I'm going to put him in decent, then I guess it ultimately goes down to average.
Yeah, he's definitely better than Willie Caballero, who's in meh, and he's definitely not better than Kasper Schmeichel, who's in average. So I think we have to put him uh, just with Fabianski in average.
All right, that sounds cool.
So next up we have Alisson Becker from Liverpool. Now this is going to be a controversial one because some people may think he's overhyped or overrated, but I personally think that he's world class. He's been phenomenal for Liverpool, especially in their title-winning season and in the season before when he signed from Roma. Uh, I think he's world class, but let's see what Yaya has to say about him.
Many clubs were after him when he showed how class he was at Roma, and now it's clear to see why. He's a man with outstanding reflexes and and he played a major role in Liverpool's Premier League triumph this year. He also kept 15 clean sheets. However, I think he should be given a few more seasons to prove himself to be world class. I'm gonna put him in decent. For me, he's in decent. I don't see him being in world class just yet. So this is a bit of a sticky situation. Where are we gonna put him, Musa?
Okay, I'll give you that one. We can review it in the end. I mean, we can see if we're gonna put someone else like maybe Hugo Lloris in world class. Then maybe we have to review if he deserves to be in world class as well or not. So let's put him in decent for now, but let's review it in the end. So next up, we have Bernd Leno from Arsenal. I personally like him a lot. I think he's a really, very decent goalkeeper. I think he's been quite impressive since He signed from Leverkusen, if I'm not wrong. I think he's been really impressive in terms of stats and in terms of how uh, overhyped he has been since signing for Arsenal. I think he's been decent, but I think he has the potential to be world class. But let's see what Yaya has to say about him.
Not a bad keeper at all. He does great when it comes to long saving long shots. But he also has a couple of weaknesses. For example, maybe he can work on catching his crosses. Uh, for me, I think he has a very bright future. And if you want to put him in decent, I would put him at the very bottom of decent for now. And he can make his way up in the future.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So next up we have another controversial one, I may say. It's Joe Hart, who's now a Tottenham player. So what do you think, Yaya?
I mean, he had his good days, but those days are long gone. I mean, 6 years ago. And now he can't even make it into the Burnley starting 11. And he really has been poor for ages. And now that he signed for Tottenham, I see him being the third keeper behind Lloris and Gazaniga. And so hard, I think he's gonna be in meh for me, or perhaps even shit.
Right now he's definitely meh, but if we look at his previous years when he was first team English goalkeeper at the 2014 World Cup, I think he was a decent goalkeeper back then, but right now Yaya's right, he's definitely between shit and meh, but let's be a bit lenient over here and put him in meh because he's definitely better than Kepa Arrizabalaga. So
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Yeah, let's put him in
so
there.
next up we have Hugo Lloris, who's been absolutely phenomenal since he signed for Tottenham Hotspur, and I think he's been at the top for a very long time. And I think we should consider him to be world class in this tier list, given that Dean Henderson and Nick Pope are decent. I think he's definitely above them in overall in terms of what a career he's had for Tottenham. What do you think?
I mean, the World Cup winning captain does have a decent reputation. I mean, he's got a big name to himself now. But I do think he does make a few mistakes. I mean, if you remember the World Cup final, the one of the goals Croatia scored was all down to his mistake. And the Spurs fans were really considering choosing between Gazaniga and Lloris this season after Lloris's injury and Gazaniga outshining as a backup keeper, and he played fantastically against Liverpool. But I think is he capable enough of being a world class? That's the real question. I would put him at decent as well, and I think we're going to have a very massive list of decent players. So it's all down to you, Musa. Your call.
I mean, if no one ends up in the world class, maybe we have to reconsider uh, the decent goalkeepers because I think we should put someone in world class because we have only four goalkeepers left, and two of them are really, really controversial. And I think if I put Hugo Lloris in decent right now, then next up we have Jordan Pickford.
I mean, from being England's main man in the World Cup to now being warned by Ancelotti that he may not even be good for Everton. I mean, Pickford is the key example of the fact that overconfidence can lead to your own downfall. His dinosaur arms usually helped him in previous seasons, but he really didn't get it going this time. And he's not even being considered for the England Euro squad as there are better options available than him. Also, his excuses are terrible. Man said that his studs got stuck in the grass last time he made a flipping error. I'm putting this guy in the bin. Go to shit, mate.
Yeah, I personally would prefer, if I was a coach, I would personally prefer Kepa over Pickford. That's how bad he is, in my opinion. So, yeah, I agree with you on that one. He should be in the shit tier list. So, next up, we have Rui Patricio from Wolverhampton, who's, in my opinion, he's a very decent goalkeeper, of course, winning the Euros with Portugal in 2016 and being in the team of the Euros, being the goalkeeper of the team of the Euros. So, I think he's had a good career. He's been decent at Wolves. Let's see what Yaya has to say about him.
Yeah, I do admire Rui Patricio. And when Wolves did announce that they were signing him, despite just being promoted to the Premier League, I was like, all right, this team, they're not messing about. And it was proven right there. Now Wolves have made themselves easily a top 10 team in the Premier League. And Patricio plays a good role in that. So I would put him in decent as well. This guy deserves it.
All right, so next up, we have probably the most controversial goalkeeper of this list, and that man is, of course, David De Gea. Let's see what Yaya has to say about him.
All right, okay. So what I'm going to say over here will be very, very controversial. All right, let's admit it. His last two seasons were bad. They were quite bad. He made continuous errors. But are we just going to ignore his last 9 or 10 seasons? He saved United on way too many occasions. United wouldn't have finished second in the 17-18 Premier League season if it wasn't for De Gea. That guy made spectacular saves. He made that save against City when United made that spectacular comeback. How can we forget the days when we were calling this guy the best keeper in the world? And I'm sorry, but he literally has the joint record for the most saves in a Premier League game. This man has records to his name. Are we just going to forget that? I mean, highly disrespected, and surely there must be something going on off the pitch or in his personal life that has distracted him for the past 2 seasons. So I'm not willing to put De Gea in any tier that is either one or two. He should not be below those two tiers, either one or two.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. In fact, I think that he's even above world class. I think he has had a really phenomenal career at Man United, and I think the records that he owns to his name, I think we should not forget about that, given he's been poor in the last 2 seasons, but I think he's been really good in the seasons when he was probably considered the best goalkeeper in the world, as Yaya said. So I think a goalkeeper who's been considered in the past to be the best in the world, I think he deserves to be at least world class. So yeah, he's probably the first keeper to be in that list for us. So next up we have Ederson from Manchester City, and this is our last goalkeeper of the list. So where do you put him, Yaya?
Proved to be a massive upgrade for Guardiola's men after the signing of Bravo in Guardiola's first season was a complete failure. And yes, he did have the most clean sheets in the Premier League this year. However, I just don't think he's there yet to be considered world class. I mean, don't get me wrong, but he did make big mistakes in big games. Both the games he facing against United, he let in quite some goals that he could have saved and probably should have saved. And his attitude also isn't great. I remember him throwing eggs at Mourinho. I mean, you can't disrespect the legend Jose Mourinho like that. So yeah, he's decent. What do you think, Musa? Should he be world class or not?
I think he's made a lot of errors in the past, but in my opinion, he's probably the best ball playing goalkeeper in the world right now. He's amazing with the ball distribution, but he's made a few errors in the past, which makes him probably decent or maybe between decent and world class. Maybe we should make another tier, but I don't know. Maybe we should put him in world class, but if we put him in world class, I think we have to put Allison in world class too. So if we put Ederson in world class, we have to change the whole list. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. It's all down to either taking both of those up a tier or perhaps making a new tier between world class and decent. What do you think? Should we make a new tier just for those two?
What would we call it, man? It's should we?
Brazilian brilliance.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Let me make another one.
Yeah, go on.
There we have it. We have made a new tier, and it's called Brazilian Brilliance, according to Yaya. So we're gonna put Allison and Ederson in that. But the question is, do we put Allison above Ederson or do we put Ederson first?
Personally, I'd say Allison should be ahead of Ederson for now, especially given the fact that he has won Champions League and Premier League now. So yeah, I would put Allison just ahead of Ederson. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of this video. If you disagreed with any of those tier lists we gave, just be sure to put it down in the comments. I'm sure you will disagree with some of them, especially if you're Chelsea fans. But all right, thanks for watching this video. Thanks to Musa for joining me. And see you guys in the next video, which will be an English midfielders tier list. And hopefully we have more members with us for that one. So see you then. Goodbye.